Okay, we just wanted to welcome everyone here tonight, and we had a special song that the children wanted to play for us.
Mr. Garrity, thank you so much. No, we haven't officially started yet. I don't know if the community knows it is Board Appreciation Night. The students were not here just solely to sing happy birthday to me or play, but they were here because of Board Appreciation Night. Thank you so much. Beautiful music. Come to all our meetings, please. All right.
All right, this meeting is called to order. Before we stand for the pledge, the district would like to hold a moment of silent meditation following the Pledge of Allegiance in recognition of October being designated Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Tragically, statistics show that on average, nearly 20 people per minute are physically abused by partners in the United States, which is unfathomable. Please join us in keeping those impacted by domestic violence in your thoughts and prayers, especially those within our Sachem family and community who have been affected directly. It's our hope that anyone in need of and able to find the support and resources to emerge from such a difficult situation. Thank you. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, brings us to our We Are Sachem Superintendent's report. I'm going to turn over to Dr. Pelletieri to introduce some folks.
Mr. Scavo, thank you very much. It is Domestic Violence Month. October is known as that, and the color is purple. That's my daughter told me this morning my tie did not match what I was wearing. She's very good at that, but it was purposely chosen. I see Laura, you're wearing some purple as well as Mr. Scavo, and I know that others as well. And Sachem has been impacted by this, I think, maybe more than some other folks, and really important that we take a moment. Thank you, Mr. Scavo, for setting the tone at the start of the meeting that way, that we reflect and be thoughtful about this. And those are who, this is when I talk about building a culture of care in this district. And I just had this conversation with our curriculum committee. Mrs. Hines was chairing, and a couple of our board members were in there, some of our students and staff and administrators. If we get one thing right in this district, it's that I want kids to know that they are cared about, that they have a place to come to with people who will support them, that they could go to about anything. And we have dogs also that, which I know the kids do appreciate, as do I. So we'll get to that. But first, we're going to bring up a young lady who's been here before. Adriana, come on up. She's actually been here before for a project that she did. But Mr. Butel, would you come up as well? Might not know. Yeah, you could stand there. Looking at our young lady here, this child, that she is a superstar. Well, you could tell she's a superstar, but she's a superstar. And Mr. Butel is going to give us a little background on why this young lady is here and how she is a superstar.
So this is Adriana Ancillari from Sachem East High School. She's a senior. And just recently, she was named the 2022 New York State champion at weightlifting competition held in Binghamton, New York. So one of the things that I found out is that she competes in the 45 kilogram weight class category in the clean and jerk and the snatch are the two events in weightlifting. This was a youth, junior, and senior championship, and it was a New York State weightlifting championship. She holds 9 New York State records and is a 2-time weightlifting state organization record holder. She also has broken her records and set new records since this time that we gathered this information.
Wait a second. I invited her here like 2 weeks ago because I read about her, and you've already broken other records since then? This past Saturday?
This past Saturday, yes, sir.
Do you think you can lift Mr. Butel over your head?
Eventually, yes, that's the goal. Eventually,
That's the goal. Eventually, is to lift Mr. Butel over your head.
I'm not in
All right, that might have been an unfair question, either to you or Mr. Butel. I don't know.
So one of the things also in Colorado in June, she's heading to Colorado for another championship. Again, she has made that championship to compete as well. So she's busy. She's training.
Yeah.
She's getting ready. She's busy. And no joke here. So let's have a nice round of applause.
Congratulations. Give her the mic for a second. Adriana, where did this come from?
So
Last time you were here gardening or something, right? Or
I
building
created
a reflective
fitness
path?
trail for children.
Fitness trail, yeah.
Yes.
Where did this come from?
So kind
Were you
of
lifting
the
rocks
same-
for the fitness trail? And
I wish. No, kind of the same story for when I created the trail. My history teacher Ryan Thatcher, during COVID, she had me doing workouts in a parking lot. And
your
then-
history teacher.
Yes, my history teacher.
Oh, interesting.
I know.
That's called CrossFit, I guess.
Yeah, it was kind of CrossFit, and then I mentioned to her that I wanted to start competing, and she told me to look into Olympic weightlifting, and then I looked into it.
Sounds random, right?
Yeah, it's very random. She was like, "Yeah, I think you'll like this." So I looked into it, and then I asked my parents, and I was like, "I want to go to Auburn to see the New York State weightlifting championships." So we drove to Auburn. We saw the championships, and then I introduced myself to my coach in Levittown, and I was like, "Hey, I'm interested. I want to come join you guys." And then ever since then, it's been about a year. I've been weightlifting with them.
Pretty amazing. Thank you so much. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
really inspirational.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank your parent. Thank your teacher, right?
Yeah,
And thank your parents
very
also
thankful
for
for
taking them
that.
everywhere. Yes, yes.
Okay.
Thank you so much. We have a
No, thank you.
certificate for you. We're going to take a picture.
Okay, perfect.
So we have some guests here tonight. Besides the dogs, we have some folks here for board recognition. I'm going to ask them to come up now. Allison, I'm doing this. I have the list here. I'll go by in this order. Okay. I see Mr. Barbera is here in the front row with Ms. Berger. SCTA would like to come up and say a little something to our Board of Education.
Good evening, Superintendent Dr. Pelletieri, Board President Scavo, Vice President Pickowitz, Board Trustees, and District Cabinet. On behalf of the teachers, teaching assistants, and aides of Sachem, we just want to say thank you. We all know that being on the Board of Education brings hours of long meetings and hours of time spending with the community, communicating with them. However, you're all here because you care, and you all share a common goal of trying to make Sachem the best school district it can be. And for that, we're extremely thankful. On behalf of the SCTA, we'll be making a donation to Branches Long Island. Branches is a local organization that packs and distributes blessing boxes filled with food, diapers, formula, and much more to the families within our community. With the need growing every day, with the need growing every day, they always step up to assist anyone in need. They also offer emergency bags at their food pantry in Middle Country for those who walk in and are in need of emergency food on the go. The people who run this organization are volunteers who have chosen a life of service to their community, not unlike all of you who have chosen to be who've elected to the Board of Education. In appreciation for your service to the Sachem community, we are proud to make this donation to Branches, Long Island in your name. Thank you again for all you do, and I hope for a swift meeting tonight so you may all return home to your families. Thank you and good night.
I'd like to bring up Miss Gemma Salvia from SAA. Mrs. Salvia? Mrs. Salvia, I just saw your Seneca football team hammering Pat Med out on that North football field just before. Got some talent there. And you had a little guy, number 2, who was a little guy who made a game saving tackle at the last second. He was a smaller guy. He reminded me of me, actually. I was number 22.
And
I
our
played
girls
safety.
softball also won.
I played. Oh, really?
They
Really?
did.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Fantastic. Some fine athletes and coaches out there, and a lot of parents. A lot of parents supporting
Yes,
the stance.
absolutely.
Nice to see.
Good evening, Dr. Pelletieri, President Scavo, Vice President Pickowitz, Board of Education trustees, and members of the Cabinet. On behalf of the members of the Sachem Administrators Association, we would like to recognize and thank you for the leadership that you have provided in the service of our students. The job of a school board member is no easy task, and we want to let you know how much we appreciate all of you. You have devoted countless hours of your time listening to the concerns of stakeholders, providing leadership to various committees and forums, and attending community and school functions. As a collective board, the responsibility on your shoulders is enormous. You are charged with examining complex issues and responsible for making informed policy and governance decisions that ultimately impact the lives of thousands of our young people. As a token of our recognition and gratitude for your leadership and devoted service, the Sachem Administrators Association has made a donation to the Wounded Warriors Project in the name of the Sachem Board of Education. This organization supports those who have incurred a physical or mental injury, illness, or wound on or after September 11, 2001. 100% of the donation supports wounded warriors through programs, services, mental health, career counseling, and long-term care. This donation will help them to recover and transition back to civilian life. Their mission is to honor and empower wounded warriors, just as you empower and honor our students and the members of this community. Thank you.
Ms. Salvia, thank you. Jocelyn Stone, SSA.
Good evening, President Scavo, Vice President Pickowitz, members of the Board of Education, and members of the Cabinet. The supervisors are pleased to be here to thank you for your extensive commitment to our school community. We have made a donation on your behalf to the Sachem team for the Brookhaven Town Special Olympics Polar Plunge. Many of you had the opportunity to meet these outstanding student athletes at the June board meeting last year. Team Sachem is led by special education teacher Emily Frasina from Sachem North and is comprised of over 50 members, including students, family members, and staff. Every $400 raised goes towards supporting an athlete to compete for free for one season, and Team Sachem has raised over $100,000 in the last 8 years. We are very proud to have made this donation in your name, and we hope that you please accept this gift with our ongoing appreciation and thanks for all that you do. Thank you.
I see we have, I think, some PTA folks. Maria, are you here? You're here. Hi, Maria. You coming up? Hiya.
Are we on? All right. Good evening, Dr. Pelletieri, President Scavo, Vice President Pickowitz, Board of Ed trustees, and members of the Cabinet. I'd like to start with an apology from our Council President, Annie Favis. She had a family emergency and wasn't able to attend tonight. But on behalf of Sachem PTA Council, which is comprised of the representatives from each of Sachem's 15 school buildings and our SEPTA, I would like to extend our appreciation for your countless volunteer hours and dedication to Sachem's children, family, staff, and community. In honor of your service to Sachem, we've made a donation to the Sachem PTA Council Scholarship Fund. Council Scholarship Program dates back over 30 years, and thanks to the generous donations and annual fundraising event with the assistance of our building principals and staff and really the whole community, we continue to award scholarships to graduating seniors from both Sachem High School East and Sachem High School North. So thank you so much.
Nancy Merkel, UPSEU.
Good evening, President Scalvo, Vice President Pickowitz. I'm sorry, I'm butchering your name. Board trustees, Dr. Pelletieri, and the cabinet. First, I'd like to send our wishes from Josephine Vaciento, the president of the UPSCU. She is sorry she has to miss it tonight. She had a dentist appointment, so she sends her wishes. I'm also here representing the SSU, which is our maintenance grounds, transportation, food service, and bus driver unions also, as our president was unable to make it for that. We come here tonight to honor your tireless dedication to the district and to all the children who come through the doors every day. The clerical unit and the support staff unit want to thank you for your time, energy, dedication, and commitment to making the Sachem Central School District a better place for all of our students, staff, and community. Tonight, the UPSCU would like to honor you with a donation from each unit in the school board's name to Mondays at Racine Cancer Care, as they provide free hands-on integrative wellness and beauty service to anyone undergoing cancer treatment of any kind. Again, thank you for your dedication to us.
Ms. Merkel, I just want to be sure I heard you correctly. Ms. Vaciento could not be here because she had a dentist appointment. So she chose to go to the dentist rather than be here, Mr. Piccirillo. See that? What does that tell you? Smartly. Oh, no.
The dentist is better than us.
Just teasing. Joe's not going to be happy about that, but I'll talk to her. I'm just being playful. Bernadette Murray, SCNA.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Good evening, President Scavo, Vice President Pickowitz, trustees, Dr. Pelletieri, and the cabinet. The Sachem Central Nurses Association would like to take this moment to recognize the Sachem Board of Education during New York State School Board Recognition Week. As nurses, we recognize the important role you all hold as individual board members, serving the students and community of Sachem. Health and safety is a common goal, as we all know that healthy students learn better. Your contributions as elected officials play a crucial role in the health and education of our children. In recognition of your service, the Sachem Central Nurses Association has made a donation in the Board of Education's name to the food pantries that serve our community at both Sachem East and Sachem North. Thank you for all your service.
Thank you very much. I'd like to just add myself a little piece. I want to thank the board for their countless hours, dedication, their leadership throughout the 3 years that I have been here now. These people work very hard for our community. They work very hard for our kids. They care. They allow me to go out and say, we're going to care more about caring about our kids than anything else. They support that. They support everything in terms of making sure our kids get what's best for them. And it's not always the textbooks or the rugs or things like that. Like it's people, it's kids. We care about them. And Matthew and Alyssa, you're here tonight. You're part of this Board of Education. I want to thank you. Giving up your time, right? No more volleyball, you said, huh? That's a tough one. I'm sorry about that, Matthew. And Alyssa, you all right? You doing well? Good, good. And think about the time that they give up for our community. I just, again, was in the curriculum meeting. I met James and Connor, 2 kids, sitting there talking about our curriculum. They're kids. I was playing wiffle ball when I was in high school. And they're at our curriculum meeting. And that's what we're creating here. That's what's fantastic about it. And that's all due to this Board of Education. So I want to thank them and appreciate them. And I have little pins that I can give everyone, when we're done afterwards, right, Mr. Iserni? I think you have one already. Laura, I gave you one. I'll give you guys, yep. But I will pass these around. These are like sewer caps. They're not easy to they're heavy. So I will make sure all the board members get one as well. But thank you again so much for the opportunity to be here, to be a part of this district, and to work with you good people. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Chris. And just on behalf of the Board of Education, I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight for Board of Education Appreciation Month, especially with your generous donations to wonderful, wonderful organizations. I say all the time, this is my least favorite night because I think we do what we do because we love this district. And I always say that Board Appreciation should be Spouse Appreciation Month or Children's Appreciation Month, because unfortunately, those are the people that end up having to pick up do the heavy lifting when we're here and at meetings and things like that. So thank you so much for coming out. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
So we're all going to look down in case anyone wants to slip out or anything like that. Don't worry about. Oh. Okay. We are going to move forward, and I see we have some guests here tonight, some four-legged guests, right, and some two-legged guests as well. Our counselors, Mrs. Hines, you want to do a little introduction?
Absolutely. So I know Mr.
Oh, we got it.
I know Mr. Iserni and
Hello.
a few of our other board members. We enthusiastically wanted to hear back from the girls. So without further ado, not to waste any time, I hand it over to you. I think Ms. Florio has your slides as well.
Oh, perfect.
Okay, great. Well, in the meantime, while she's doing that, we really do appreciate your time today, and you can just jump right on in. Thank you so much.
Sure. Thank you for having us. We appreciate all that you guys do. I'm Christine Launer. I'm one of the school counselors at Sachem North, and this is Nicole Kerber, one of the counselors at Sachem East. Some of you may remember us from last year. These girls were a little bit smaller back then. It's been a really great 8 months now, I guess. They started in December in the schools, 1 day a week, and then eventually moved to 2 days a week. They're both coming in 2 days a week now with us all day long and hanging out in the guidance office, pretty much doing this, walking the halls, going to special events. They get appointments and things like that. So we did put through a slideshow that we're going to show you. One of the things that we did with them last spring, we had teachers sign up for visits with them, and we would not tell the kids that we were coming. And before we came, the teachers would give a survey that just said simply, how are you feeling today on a scale of 1 to 5? And then we would surprise them. We would visit 5 to 10 minutes, do some tricks and talk to the kids about everything. And then we would do a follow-up survey. How are you feeling now? How did they make you feel when they walked in the room? And what you can see up here, this is before Bailey's visit and after. It obviously made an impact in some of the students' day, changed the way that they felt for the day. And then Oakley with the same thing on the next slide. So it's helping. Nicole and I often say it's like walking around with a pocket, of sunshine. And, you walk around the corner and, kids are rolling on the ground and so excited to see them. So it's as simple as them just being in the building and, changing the direction of even one student's day.
Absolutely. We often hear comments such as, wow, this made my day. Now this made my morning. I was so anxious about a test. Now I feel I could tackle the test. We visited some classrooms last year, right before the AP exams. And just to let you know, I did get some emails back from some of the teachers. This was some of the commentary. I'm really hoping we started a new tradition by having Bailey visit before and after the AP exams. The next day, a student who suffers with anxiety told me that the day Bailey visited was the best day of his entire school career, and he'll never forget it. In that same class, a girl who lost a parent last week was smiling and laughing, playing with Bailey. It really brought me to tears. Thank you so much for coming. And it was also for teaching the kids about Bailey's role and demonstrating all her great tricks. We are all in love. So 3 different emails said, something along those same lines. Thank you so much for bringing Bailey to my AP World classes on AP exam eve. As you know, my sophomores had a lot of anxiety going into the test. For most of them, this was the first AP exam, and they have been working and prepping hard for weeks. The smiles on their faces when you and Bailey walked in really hit me in the heart. They were relaxed, laughing, and really in the moment, enjoying themselves and thinking about something other than the exam. Students said things like, "This was the best thing ever. Can Bailey sit next to me during the test? This fed my soul. And this was the happiest second period of my life. If you don't mind, I would like to make Bailey part of the last day before testing lesson next year too. Many sincere thanks for you and our team, AP World's four-legged best friend. Have a wonderful weekend." So things along those lines. So if we can keep that tradition going. We also have some of the English teachers this year have approached me in the building about doing writing assignments on various careers, some involving animals. So they asked if I could be interviewed. And I know things along those same lines are going on at North. So it's really been a wonderful experience.
You bring forward in my mind immediately. I'm always thinking about data and research, and so I'd love to take. You could have if anyone is going for their doctorate or anything like that, you could have a study where the dogs visit a class, like let's just take a science class, chemistry class,
Yep.
and then they don't visit a different not to punish them, but don't visit a different chemistry class. And as long as the makeup of those classes are the same, look at the results of those two
Right.
classes compared, dog visit, not dog visit. It's just something in terms of just the fact that you brought that up about AP, visiting night before, the way
Yeah.
it brought down the anxiety. Really interesting.
It was great.
But
It's been really great.
I'm in the schools a bunch, and I see the sign up: dogs here, dogs
Yeah.
in, dogs not. The depression when the dog's not in, the happiness when the dogs are here. I think it's just an amazing program. So proud of you. So proud of us, you for undertaking this. Right. Again, here's an example of a board of education who said, "Let's give us the idea, right? Let's take a
Yeah.
look at it, see if we can do it safely, and make sure we meet the regulations, things." And we've done it, and it's been an incredible growth, for our kids, and incredible to see the dogs in the schools and the response of our kids.
Absolutely. And we thank you all for allowing us to do it. It was definitely, something we've never tackled before. So learning curve for us.
Yeah. We also did do at the end of the year some visits to the elementary schools, and the response we got was overwhelming to the point where we had to turn people away because we had our own jobs we had to do, so we couldn't fit it all in. We're still getting requests for the elementary schools, so I know things are in the works to try and get the
I
therapy
think
dog
Ms. Hines
organizations.
is working on getting.
Pop in if you don't mind for a second, because Bailey and Oakley opened up the doorway for Long Island Therapy dogs, which is where Bailey and Oakley were trained. They're now BOCES contracted, so we're going to be making visits with Long Island Therapy to our elementary and our middle schools, almost like a field trip. So that's in the works, and we're completing that.
Yeah.
So yes, right, you have your
Perfect.
jobs to do,
Yeah.
what have you, but now we'll be able to have access to therapy dogs in all of our schools.
It's
So thank
great.
you, ladies.
We've also, since we started, there's a list of schools up there that we've met with that are now either in the works for starting a program or already have dogs in their schools because of the information we supplied to them. So we were kind of the segue to it all. So we thank you guys for approving it and allowing it. And now it's kind of popping up all over Long Island.
See, goal 6, right? We talk about taking things back to our goals and where why we do certain things. And goal 6, we are Sachem, want to have a role, right? A bigger role in what it is that's happening in our community. And here's an example of that right here. Thank you, ladies, so much.
Thank you so
some
much.
questions to the board and some board members. Thank you. Ms. Esterny?
Yeah, hi. So I'm not really, I believe this is really one of those things that although you can't push scientific data through, intrinsically, we all know how beneficial it is. And we see it through that reaction of the kids and all. So I do have a question. They're only in the building 2 days a week. Why is that?
Honestly, that's how much we can handle. The kids are constantly coming down, and we still have,
Well, you have a
phone calls and
therapy dog.
emails and other things to do. So it's a lot on us when they're there for the 2 days because we're the only ones who can really be with them. So it's the most that we can manage. We would love for them to be 5 days a week, but it's just a lot to manage.
So we would have to expand other staff to expand this, right? That's what you're saying?
Yeah.
And I was kind of hoping that our 2 students would give us some insight of how your reaction to your peers with the dogs at the buildings.
No, yeah, it's really a great thing. And I never went down, but when I do walk around the halls and pop into gym classes, pop into classrooms, everyone's smiling. It's always great when everyone's going over to pet them. It's really, really a nice thing.
People like they pop into our classes all the time. Everyone's like so excited. It's so like comforting when they're there. I mean, I haven't personally gone down, but I know a lot of people do when they're there. So they're definitely helpful.
Yeah, we try to get out as much as we can during passing time and into the classrooms. But it's, again, sometimes difficult, but they're always in the guidance office, roaming around also.
So
And now
we,
this year I have library duty, and it's very helpful because a lot of the teachers bring down students or classrooms, to do lessons in the library and whatnot. So she is getting exposed that way to a lot of students. It's very funny. They're sitting at the computers, they're doing whatever work they're doing, and there's Dale just kind of
So-
they're petting. It's very
well, I'm really happy too, because this is another area where Sachem now is the leader, right? People are coming to us about this, and we, hopefully, as we move forward with the program in place, we're going to see our scores go up. We're going to see the kids' morale go up. We're going to see, as we can start to build on this and make it even bigger. So I don't know how the other board members feel, but I think this is positive in all aspects.
Laura?
Right. So what I was just going to say, and Mr. Isernia jumped on it first. So Stephanie and I are going to the NISBA conference tomorrow, New York State School Board Association in Syracuse. And one of the meetings that you can attend or workshops is building character and achievement through compassion for animals. And it's all about how post-COVID, kids with anxiety, with different things. So this is now the first time this is ever being introduced on a state level. And Sachem, again, is so way above everybody else that the last time I went to a NISBA convention was in New York City, and John Chiramonti presented peer education. It was standing room only. People couldn't even get through the door because not a lot of districts even had a program like peer education. So again, I wasn't going to go because we already have it, but now I might go to that one just to say, well, we already started it and this is what's going on. So again, thank you for
Thank you.
Stephanie?
Mine's not serious, but I'm sure my son knows the answer to this. Where do they live?
They're our dogs.
They
Our
come home
babies.
with you guys?
Yeah.
That's adorable.
Yeah.
Sabrina?
I went to, when I went to high school, we had them in our, I went to Kellenberg and they had them in the schools too.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how much it just made your day. They walked around the building a little bit more. They free roamed a little bit. You walk through the court. It just changed your mood. You had to go into guidance to meet with your guidance counselor. They were there greeting you. So, firsthand experience, it's worth it. We loved it. They're it builds a family aspect in the school.
It does.
A culture.
They're like the
care
unofficial
as,
mascots.
Sucked build of that. I loved it. I still see pictures, when I look through, like from when I was in high school and I see the dogs, I'm like, oh. So I love that they're there. I would love to see this program expand. I think, especially middle school. I'm a middle school teacher. It's the roughest 3 years of, your life. So I think, I could think of my two middle schoolers. If they saw a dog on a daily basis, I think just immediately they come home to a dog and they're happy and whatnot. So I just thank you for doing this. I think this is absolutely wonderful.
I will offer no fault of the principals, but I've had, in particular, middle school principal who happens to be even sitting here, come to me about this. So, it has to be done right, and the right people, nice, right insurance, regular, all those things. So we got here. I think we're blessed that we're here and fortunate, and we will continue to try and build it.
I just want to say, first and foremost, I want to commend you for taking on this initiative and really introducing it to Sachem. I mean, the feedback that I get from my own children is, is tremendous about, they get excited when the dogs are in the school and they come home and I always say with children, when they come home and they share what's going on in school, it means that they truly loved what happened that day. Whether it's a staff member, administrator, whatever the case is. And these dogs have had a tremendous impact on our children. Sachem, I'm a little jealous and envy of you guys because, one of the things that's on my short list is to actually have my dog trained as a therapy dog. I have a 170-pound Newfie that just, when I take him for walks, people don't know if I'm walking a cow or a dog, and kids run from all over the place, and just the expression in their faces is just, it's priceless. It really is. You know, the sad thing about, the bad thing about him is that he's a drooler. So one minute he'll make you excited, next minute you're going to be wiping, you know, drool off you. But the magic of dogs is just incredible. It's unexplainable. Yeah. So thank you so much for coming out.
Thank you. You guys can follow. They also have their own Instagram page, Sister Paws of the Cause. So you guys can follow what they do in the schools on the Instagram page. Yep. Our own Tech Kids built it. Yeah. They went to college day. Elementary visits.
Elementary school visits. They were awesome. And this is them at the end of the day.
Yes.
That's what they look like at the end of the day.
Oh, you guys are so excited.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you all.
All right, everybody ready? All right, great. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
All right, we have momentum. We're gonna keep going. Dr. Miller, thank you so much. You know, earlier this year, the Board of Education said to Dr. Miller and myself, the cabinet, hey, you know, it'd be great if we had something that would, like a checklist almost. Kids would know what they need to do, when they need to do it. All we had to do is kind of nudge in that direction, Dr. Miller. And I'm so proud of the fact that here we are just a couple months later, and he put together with his folks, with his counselors and staff, a Sachem School Counselors, Sachem High School College and Career Readiness Checklist. So I'm not going to ask you to take a lot of time tonight, but just walk us through real quick, if you don't mind. What is this? Because it looks like a lot.
So thank you, everyone. And thank you, obviously, to the board for everything you do. Dr. Pelletieri and members of the board had asked when I was appointed that this was something that we wanted to target. So with the high school counselors, the high school admin, members of the cabinet, Mr. Trombetta and Dr. Pelletieri, we were able to kind of put together a checklist broken down by month, 9 through 12, of what students should kind of be focusing on. Now, this is very, very thorough. Some people are going to achieve all of it. Some people might be 3/4 of it, but it's kind of a guideline that the counselors will be able to help our students out with on a month-to-month basis. What you have here, kind of the first page, is just basic directions, how to access eSchool, how to access Naviance. And then we have, following that, broken down by grade, by month, things that students should be doing 9 through 12. And there's a checklist there that they can kind of print out and leave on the refrigerator. Dr. Pelletieri has also asked for it to be digitized, so we are in the process of working with Mr. Render's office, and it will be automatically uploaded to every student 9 through 12, their Google Drive. So that they're able to kind of check it off electronically as they go. We are also, now that this is completed, going to work on a 6 through 8 one as well. So we will eventually have one continuous document, 6 through 12. This takes you all the way through 12th grade, and then towards the back, you have the calendar of events that the counseling department offers. This is going to be reevaluated every year. Some things will adjust frequently, but our goal is to have 6 through 12, and this will be uploaded in the Google Drive. And again, this was a collaboration with the high school counselors, the high school admin, Mrs. Trombetta, and Dr. Pelletieri as well.
And it just made me think about Dr. Miller. We have a couple seniors here, and there's a senior checklist, right? So get ready. You gave them one. Review college websites for admissions information, programs, applications. Alyssa, can you do that? Can you say you did that? Yes. Matthew, getting on it?
Yeah, I'm getting
Let's
on
get
it.
on it.
I'm
Let's
getting
get
on
on
it.
it. You got it. We have to be prepared, right? You sound like my son. I'll get to it. I'll get to it. See counselor for college information. Prepare to send applications. Are you doing that? Oh, you can check that one confidently. Okay,
Yeah.
Alyssa? You're good? Okay. All right. I'm not going to get into it too much, but this is the idea behind this, that this is going to keep you kind of on task. You think this type of thing would be helpful for our seniors?
For sure, yeah.
For sure? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Hopefully it'll keep you on task, and you'll also be able to look each month and say, oh my gosh, it's now almost November. I should be doing everything that's in September and October already. And if you have any questions, Dr. Miller, I'm a kid. I have a question about something on here. I don't, what if I'm not taking this exam, or a regular registration deadline for December SAT? Oh no, I missed that. Who can I speak to?
Right. So this is a kind of generic outline for everyone. We would encourage everybody to speak with their individual counselor about their own individual specifics. You might take a test at a certain date. So you might not need a test at a later date. Sometimes, your admissions to college, you're hitting an earlier deadline than perhaps somebody else. So obviously we want you to touch base with your counselor individually to speak about your specific needs. But it's more of a kind of generic guideline for all of us to follow.
I see a live link for the FAFSA, which is really helpful.
Yep.
And now I'm thinking about some other things that says ACT deadline, SAT deadline. Maybe there's live links we could put for some of those things as well. So this will be a living document.
Yes, sir.
We'll review it with our staff and our students and see how we might improve upon it each year.
Yep.
But from nothing to this, thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
As a parent, I love you. This is incredible. So thank you.
Just, Matthew?
Yeah, this looks great. Just a couple. So, will this be online?
Yeah. So right now it's on the East and North homepage for
it's already
guidance
online.
already. We have it on the Google Classrooms.
Perfect.
And as I said, we're in the process of getting Mr. Render's office to help us upload it on everybody's Google
Wonderful.
Drive.
So they'll be able to check it off.
Yep. And counselors at both high schools have put out notifications that it already is out there.
Awesome. And who's kind of other than the student, of course,
right,
and the parent, is there anybody at the school that's going to kind of keep track of it, make sure that the kids are using it or taking advantage of it?
Right. In our meetings with the counselors have it too, and kind of they're making sure that a lot of this they do already. But they also have some things that they will make sure that they're kind of keeping the kids on task for as well.
Great.
And
That's awesome.
if I could jump in for 1 second, I made a statement from nothing. We have our counselors do a heck of a lot, right? So they had a lot, but to be able to put it here in this form, in one place, and to make it a checklist. And when I said to Kevin, hey, they all have Chromebooks, let's get it so that they can click an X right on their Chromebook, and already you're working with Mr. Render to do that. I appreciate it. But again, this is how we build things. So appreciate it.
Thank you for coming tonight. I just have a quick question about a kid that may not want to attend college. I see a couple of things in here,
right?
But I just don't want that child to feel like he or she may be lost.
Right.
I don't want to take the SAT. I don't want to do college admissions. What options or paths
right,
are
and
available?
again,
I see a couple. I'm just trying to
we
browse as
do
I'm doing it.
we do want to focus on everybody having their kind of own individual accounts things. So we do have things in here about arranging BOCES sites visits. We do have on the calendar the ASVAB information as well. So we do have some things. I can certainly take a look and add some more though.
Do we? I don't know. If, as a district, do we have, for lack of a better word, like connections in local unions for apprenticeships, or so like a kid graduates high school and he doesn't want to work at the local pizza place or the restaurant for the rest of his life? How do we help that child along?
You know, we
as
do
well?
have some connections through BOCES. Also, last week I attended the Ronkonkoma Rotary, so we have some connections that we're developing there as well. We have the career fair that's held, an internship fair at both schools, North and East, which has really grown. When Mrs. Trumpet and I were at North, it was just North. Now it's kind of both sides of the district. It really is growing, and you know, both sides of town are getting 40 or 50 local businesses and unions and such in to kind of help juniors and seniors get, you know, set up with a prospective job if they don't want to pursue a college path.
Sure. Thank you.
Pickwitz?
You're good.
Should I go to-
You could go. He kind of took my question, but I want to say thank you, Dr. Miller, and whoever, and your team and cabinet. I think these things that are coming out right now are exactly what I've kind of been. I think we've all been kind of asking for that. The parents want checklists. They want to know what they're always fearing that they're missing something. Their kid's missing out. They didn't fill out something. So I can't say thank you enough. I see like you had the elementary guidance counselor meet up where the parents can meet them. So the things that I see coming out are wonderful, getting the community involved, making sure parents know. So I just want to say thank you because this is absolutely wonderful.
Thank you.
Ms. Slattery?
Thank you, Dr. Miller. And again, as Ms. Pitkowitz and Mr. Piccirillo said, I agree. Having it in one place, that's the parents' biggest complaint to us, is that they always had to pick and choose. And following up on what Mr. Piccirillo said, I actually was, I feel like you were reading my last email that I received before I came to the meeting. So the company that my son works for, they're looking for workers, and they wanted to know how to get in touch because they're doing concrete polishing, but also like prefab countertops. They just bought a huge building right in Holbrook. And so they wanted to know how they can partner with a district like Sachem, where a child who doesn't plan, or a student who may not plan on going to college, can come in and can try something. You know, like we partner, I know, with different people through BOCES, but who they would get in touch with, how they would do it. It's a local, you know, family business. They all graduated from here, and they've just expanded so much. They can't get enough employees. And again, this is something that I never expected for my son, but, you know, a full-time job with benefits and a 401k and all of that for a child who didn't go to college. And they actually just hired, you know, another Sachem graduate that Michael knew that recommended. So he wanted to give kids an opportunity to try something, but I just didn't know like how that would work.
We do have two kind of work-based coordinators on either side, Ms. Schrank at North and Mr. Ward at East, and they're the ones who coordinate our internship fairs and everything else. So either one of them would be good. You could also refer them to me, and I can make sure we can set that up. Yeah.
So I think I'll refer you.
Right.
You know, it's Tyler Andriasi. I'm
Yeah.
going to give him. You know, I think you probably
Sure.
remember him from your
Right.
time at North.
Yep.
And so I'll have him get directly in touch, but he's willing to take on, train, and then if the student likes it, it could be a career path for after school.
Absolutely. Yep.
You know, I'm just going to add real quick while we're talking about it. Anyone out there who has a business, local community, right, that works with and doesn't know Mr. Ward or our folks over at North also, please reach out to Dr. Miller, because, yeah, we're always looking for people for our career fairs to work with our kids, hire our kids. It's a great opportunity. It works both ways, right, for our students and our work in our community. It's all part of that Sachem family. So anyone. And as Kristen said other times, anyone wants to work in the district, we can reach out to us as well. You know, we did that Google form. We're still trying to get some staff in, some folks in. So please reach out to us.
Sabrina? Hold on. Anybody else? Matthew?
Would it make sense to have, you know, something like this for the kids that are not college bound? So for like I teach special ed 15-1 English,
right.
And in the senior class that I teach, I sort of have a checklist, not this nice and fancy, but I try to teach them things like, you know, resumes and filling out applications, you know, that kind of stuff. So would it make sense if we have students, classified students who are not classified, maybe we could have like a separate, just so they're not looking at a bunch of things that they would
Right.
feel bad that they're not doing. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. We could definitely start at that.
I appreciate
Yep,
that. Yeah.
absolutely.
Dr.
Thank you.
Miller and Mr. Bauman, we try to make a college and career readiness so it would fit both. We send kids to BOCES programs. We have kids in our own programs. Fantastic. They go right. They're certified, right? They can go right into careers, things like that. But I think you're talking about maybe something that might be a little bit even different than I was thinking of, and we can again
Right.
brainstorm
Sure.
and
Yep.
have a conversation with some of our folks in those areas.
Yeah, I'm much like I think when our classified kids have to take the regents and they feel terrible because they're looking at things that they just can't do.
Mhm.
So not having them look at this long list of things that they're not going to do,
right?
I think it'd be better if they had a different checklist that they could feel
Absolutely.
good about.
If I could just interject a little bit. Our special education
That
department,
mic is
along with
definitely
our-
not working.
It's not?
Right? Oh, okay.
Thank you. We actually do have something called the PAYS Lab at the high school levels where the students who maybe not are going to college are able to explore various careers. We now just opened up, we are opening up one at East. And in those classes, those career sort of life skill classes, they are working on resume building, interviewing, things along those lines. So it'd be great, Mr. Miller, Dr. Miller, excuse me, if you guys can work together because I know they have a lot of different products and resources for that.
Ms. Esternian?
Hi, Dr. Miller. And only because Alyssa just told me, I know how your people are calling them down by 11th grade, 12th grade to make sure they're going through these things. But for things such as this, how do we handle 9th and 10th graders? Do we call them down in groups? Do we make sure they get a face-to-face with their counselor? And how do we do that?
At this point, every counselor at the high school is calling down every 9th grader individually to meet with them. And then the 10th graders might be a little bit more group based, but because 9th grade is first year of high school, they're making sure they get a one-on-one meeting with all of them by the end of the first quarter. So in a couple of weeks, they will have met all of their 9th graders, and they'll introduce this to them and make sure they kind of walk them through the process a little bit.
Any other questions from the board? Just Dr. Miller, when I opened up my packet, my board packet this weekend, and I saw this in there, I was like, oh my goodness, this is such a powerful tool, okay, not only for the child, but more so for the parent. Because, I'm looking around the room and I think, Laura and Mike, myself, I think we might be the only ones that actually have gone through the process where kids have graduated, either have gone into the world of work or gone into the world of, college. And you don't realize that, when you get to, college, I'm talking about going to the world of work. Well, your daughter graduates this year, right? She's in college. Oh, sorry, Matthew. From 9th grade on, everything just goes so quickly. Right. Signing up for AP exams, which we just had to do last week. And everything goes so quickly that if you don't have a list to follow, okay, you can easily miss something. Whether it's signing up for an ACT or an SAT or PSAT. So the first thing I did when I saw this was I printed 3 of them. I printed one for each one of my children, and I printed one for my wife and I, because you could easily miss something along the way. And having it all in one spot is absolutely tremendous. Just to touch base on some of the things, I know, Matt, you brought up a great point about, for the kid that's not going to go to college. And Alex, you brought that up as well, and Laura. Students that attend BOCES have several opportunities throughout the course of the year to attend actual fairs, employment fairs. I know that, in years past, Suffolk Community College has hosted a career fair as well. We might want to see about maybe doing a field trip for our CTE students here at Tech, where we actually put them on a bus and have them put together resumes and cover letters and have them walk through the different trade areas on the basketball floor at Suffolk Community College for those fairs. As soon as they go to BOCES, I think we sent probably close to 200. Is that correct, Aaron? Here, have career placement offices, for lifetime career placement. So you could be out of BOCES for 10 years and be out of a job and call that particular department. And they have literally a 6-inch binder, 5-inch binder of jobs, that, they could actually, by trade, that they can actually apply for. Right. So I think this is fantastic. Something that I wish I had years ago when my son graduated college and went through the whole 9 through 12. But I'm excited to see the 6 through 8 one too. I think that's going to be, important. And I got to tell you, I sat on this board, and I'm going to direct this to the students. I sat on this board when Naviance was introduced to Sachem, and I said, "What the heck is Naviance?" Oh my God, it's so technical, you know. And until you get into that 11th and 12th grade, especially, and you start using that scattergram to see where you fall within the colleges that you're interested in, it's such a tremendous tool. I would encourage everybody, okay, as difficult as it might be, to get on that program and really utilize that program. It really is a powerful tool. So I want to thank you for coming out tonight.
And speaking of, we had our first.
Stephanie?
For the kids that aren't even job ready and they go into a transitional type program, is there a way, I know that the transition planning for kids who are in like self-contained and stuff, but is there a way to like integrate that process? Because there are a lot of programs that after my son graduated, I found out on my own and that are really incredible that I would love to share with the Sachem community, but we don't have an avenue for that in district.
Okay, you hear me? Yeah, so as Dr. Miller and Ms. Rombetta and I continue to talk about this, there's lots of, commonalities that we can see connecting with our special education students. We're also working with SEPTA to ensure that families understand the process of OPWDD and the different programs and the different career paths that students can take. So I think now that Dr. Miller's here, and I have to say, I just spent plethora of money for my daughter to apply to college next month. And had I had Dr. Miller's checklist along with our counters, I might have been able to save a few bucks so I can pay for college and not go broke. But this is a really great time for us, and we're looking at all connections across the board.
I think you just had Dr. Miller at Naviance night or something.
Right. Last night we had a Naviance workshop at North that Mrs. Farber presented, kind of walking through the process of what Naviance is and what it can help parents and kids with. So it was very well attended.
What grade are we starting Naviance in now?
We have it in the middle schools.
Mhm.
So,
All the way down to middle schools.
Yeah.
Yep. Fantastic.
Yep.
Yep.
I mean,
Yep.
they're gonna add different material
We
and-
add to it. Yeah. Yeah.
I know that you said this already, but can you just go over again how the parents can see this? Are we going to send this out? I know that we send a lot of emails. Are we going to send this out like a connected?
Yeah.
From
Yep.
the principals and the.
That was my final query for Dr. Miller insofar as how
I
can
mind reading medicine tonight.
how can, it's all coming from this side. How can parents get a hold of this?
So we can send out a Connect Ed, an email to everybody. As I said, it's on the websites already. We're getting it uploaded on the Google Drives, and I'm in the process of creating a Google Classroom for the community for all of the stuff that we have already to share.
Yeah.
So maybe we should finalize that,
Right.
and then go out to the community and with an email and phone
Mhm.
call and say, here's your one-stop shop for all these things for guidance and counseling.
Yep.
Thank you again to you and your entire team.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr.
Okay.
Miller. Awesome.
Thank you, Kevin.
Oh, right. I'm sorry. Mrs. John Better reminded me. Saturday morning, we have a financial aid workshop at East at 10 o'clock. Renee Nunziata from Suffolk Community, who gave a presentation at North in mid-September during the week at night, has agreed to come in Saturday morning at 10 o'clock at East for a financial aid workshop. And now that the FAFSA portal is open, we thought that it would probably be advantageous to have a weekend workshop, maybe some more well-attended, and we will be live streaming that also. Great.
I think I'm going to print this for my daughter when I get I may use this one. Thank you.
We just want, Dr. Miller, just one question. Have we thought about doing career fairs here or had a job placement office within our, where companies like, to Ms. Latter's point, can call and actually, put a request into what they're looking for, whether it's summer work, whether it's, post high school work?
We do have the career fair at North and East. That's end of March, beginning of April, and we probably have about 40 or 50 companies and organizations that attend both sides. In terms of the job placement thing, that I'd have to look into a little bit, but we do, and I know that career fair on both sides has grown really tremendously since it started 4 or 5 years ago.
And the career fair is a hiring fair?
Yeah.
I watched them hire the pool guy. I'm sorry, I
Right.
don't know his name. He hired like 4 kids right in front of
Yeah.
me. He needed lifeguards, and
Yeah,
he was
and
very
it's
happy.
really wide gamut of different organizations and businesses that attend these. So we have the business classes come down, or all grade levels that are interested in any sort of summer internship or job opportunities attend both sides.
Thank you.
Yep.
Dr. Miller, thank you very much. One final piece for me here, and I have obviously oh no, you're free to go. If I would have kept my head down long enough, you would have been there for a while. That's how I type too, so I apologize. So communication, I've always talked about, is important for me, important for this community, and it's something that I haven't done really a great job around, and that is communication around some of our trips and some of the things that we're doing in our middle schools in particular. I've gotten many emails of late, and I know the principals have as well, and phone calls around concerns for what's happening in our middle schools. We've had conversations here at the board in terms of let's try to have some equity and see that kids are doing the same things, have the same experiences, at least minimally the same experiences. Some schools do different things at different times. I see our Seneca principal here. She has Senecon, so no one else is going to do Senecon because it's for Seneca. But there are things that we should be doing across the board so everyone has similar experiences. So I just want to walk through a little bit of that. In our middle schools, all the sixth graders, for example, have the sixth grade orientation. And Mrs. Hines, if you don't mind, you really put this together for me, so be prepared over there to jump in and save me if need be. I know they all go to Adventureland, and then there's a Project Kindness is something that we all do in sixth grade. In seventh grade, they all go to Christmas Carol. All three schools go to Christmas Carol. There's connection to the schools and our curriculum. And then there is a trip, either Adventure Park, Project Adventure, maybe fishing trip, Bronx Zoo. Like I think actually Seneca just went to the Bronx Zoo with their seventh grade. It's very timely that you're here tonight, Mrs. Salvi. I almost called you Mrs. Seneca, which is pretty appropriate, I guess, right? And we're going to start calling it. I call Mr. Lapani. I'm going to embarrass. He's home probably. I call him Mr. Grundy. Erin caught me doing that the other day. And I see him, I think of Grundy. That's I call him Mr. Grundy. So I said to a kid one day, "Hey, is Mr. Grundy?" He's like, "Yeah, he is. He's Mr. Grundy. He's our principal." So seventh grade, again, same things. And everyone does those pieces. There are always additional pieces. Someone might have a special play that they bring in, a group they bring in, or I bring in BMX, or I do. But across the board, we're doing those same or similar type of trips and experiences. In eighth grade, for 3 years, we tried to put Frost Valley together. For 3 years. We were planning on going the first year we had COVID. Last year, COVID again. This year, it is to send 300 students to Frost Valley overnight to cover that trip of overnight chaperones, to cover school when those folks are out of school is close to impossible. And so, unfortunately, we are not going to be having our Frost Valley trip as we had planned originally in terms of sending everyone at the same time. What we are going to do, however, is make sure kids have similar experiences. So kids will have end of year carnival. They will have their end of year dance. They will have their last day fun day that they have. They will have their assemblies and their presentations. I'll give you just an example from Somerset. Somerset has a Somerset Bowl. Again, that's one of those examples how Seneca's not having Somerset Bowl. It's a Somerset project that they do. That's March 30th of this year. That's one of the things I think we can do better, without a doubt, getting this information out and post it on our website so that people can see them at one place, one-stop shop. Click on something and be able to see that. So we're going to get that information posted to the webpage. Somerset will have Somerset Fun Days, Somerset Carnival, and their assemblies and presentations as well. So we will. Sagamore just had a great event for one of their grades again. So we are doing those things. We're making sure that they are across the district. We are making sure that they are doing the numbers are this minimal. I think it's 2 trips, Mrs. Hines, right, per grade, per year. Okay. If I want to have someone in or do something like Senecon, I can still do that, right? That's part of my culture in my building, and we don't want to prevent people from doing that. But we want those at least minimal touchstone events that are happening each year. And I know, unfortunately, Frost Valley is not happening, but I've heard some great conversation from the principals. And again, not everyone's privy to these conversations, which is why I'm raising it here. They're talking about maybe it's a Broadway trip, see a show and lunch in the city, kids on the buses together, 300 kids going together. I mean, like a memorable, fun experience. That's what this experience should be. That's what this trip should be. A little bit of learning in there would be great. But again, this idea of being with our friends, our colleagues, getting to see each other, hang out with each other. Those buses, I can remember ride to Statue of Liberty and then climbing those steps and things as a school trip. So really fun. So we're looking for that type of meaningful experience for our kids in 8th grade. I had suggested CompSet, which is an incredible nature preserve, which I thought would be a great trip for our 8th graders. But I just found out that they can't house all 300 kids at once. So you know what? It's important to us that all 300 are together. So we're going to move on, I think, from CompSet, and we're going to be looking at some of these other things. And what I'd love for us to do is get that tightened up and tied in a bow real quick and get that turned back out to the community so they know what's going on. Any questions from the board in regards to that particular little segment there?
Stephanie?
I know a lot of parents want to volunteer to be chaperones, and I do know of at least one PTA president that took courses on how to do that and bring that into the community. Is there any discussion of opening things up so parents can volunteer as chaperones to replace the need for our faculty to be chaperones?
So during the day chaperones, I think we're covered for the most part. At elementary, I think some parents probably go on trips. So parents go on any of the middle school trips as chaperones during the day? During the day chaperones, Miss Salvia? Parents will help out with that. Okay. But other than that trip, it's staff. And I have to tell you, I love our parents, love the passion, love that they want to partner with us. The concerns I have is our kids are in Manhattan with teachers, a parent, their friends. Who do I listen to? Who do I talk to? Parent sees a kid run out in the street. Who's scolding whose kid? And how dare you speak? Like, you got to be real careful with those types of things. And as a kid, do I listen to my friend's mom, or do I listen to my teacher who's telling me I got to do this other thing? Like, it really puts us in a predicament. So where we can, obviously, I prefer that our staff be on those trips and chaperoning. Certainly, again, at elementary, it's very appropriate, and I think we've done that. And as Mrs. Salvia said, we do it on occasion, I guess, for a couple things, but I would not speak to it in terms of anything with long-term trips or overnight trips or anything like that. I think that could put us in a tough spot.
Second part of similar. Has anyone checked anywhere local to do an overnight trip, like one of our local camps or something, to have that team building type of Frost Valley experience that everybody's grieving?
Yeah, I think that's the same issue would arise as soon as you have overnight. As soon as you have overnight, difficult to get staff that are going to be overnight, take time away from their families. I'm sure there'd be some that might do that. Difficult to cover the building as well, back in the building as staff are out to cover for those folks. So it's something, we can continue to try to research and discuss. Sending 300 kids at once, that 8th grade at all 3 schools is onerous. It's a great vision. I don't know how you necessarily pull it off.
Mr. Baumann?
Well, I'm assuming you'd have to, there's things like fingerprinting.
There's a
you
lot.
Can't put random people in charge of kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, someone actually told me that recently. There's newer companies that do those types of chaperoning. You can hire them to chaperone, right? They're
You can
volunteers.
also bring them into the district to get parents vetted. They go through their own specific training. There's actually a PTA mom that was looking into it for her own unit.
Gotcha. That might obviously would take some time to put together.
My kids wouldn't go on that trip. Yeah, I'm good. That's it.
You good? Okay. Ms. Attorney?
So I look at this as in a way that I hope the board could look at it this way too. That these kind of events come in 2 categories. There's celebratory events, and then there's curriculum complementary type events. Curriculum complementary events are not for everyone. They're for those who are in that curriculum, right? For instance, our rocketry classes would probably benefit from taking a trip to the Cradle of Aviation Museum, but I wouldn't send a culinary class there. I would send them to the Culinary Institute, right?
They have a kitchen over there, Mike. So
what I'm saying is I don't want this school district to lose sight of the fact that there are things that are complementary to the curriculum that would benefit the curriculum for those kids in those curriculum, yet yes, I agree. All the students for celebratory trips, Adventureland, the park, right? Those you want them all included. Those are celebratory. Those are celebrating them at their grade level, their achievements. But it's a fact that there are trips that are really designed. I was off the board. I don't know what happened, but my daughter was in a science curriculum that they went to Frost Valley, but not everybody went to Frost Valley. But the Frost Valley trip, I understood, was like with earth science, right? And they would see different types of rock formations. And that was the benefit of the trip, that they would see the practical application of what they were learning. So this board's got to recognize there should be trips that are not for everyone, that they're for certain curriculums to complement what the kids are learning. And whether they're day trips or overnight trips. So yes, I agree. Equally, celebratory trips should be across the board for the whole grade levels, right? So they have common experiences. But I don't want to lose sight of the fact that there could be things that they could be doing that complement what they're learning in the practical world. And I'll use that rocketry class as an example, because they do both airplane design. And you go to the Cradle Aviation Museum, there's whole sections dedicated to that. So I don't know how the rest of the board feels, but I think that we have to recognize that there's two types of events: celebratory and then curriculum specific complementary.
For the sake of transparency and speaking about celebratory for everybody, we did receive as a board a petition from 8th grade parents in reference to getting a moving up ceremony for our 8th grade. So I just want to, kind of put that out there. Full transparency, I have an 8th grader, so I just want, in sake of that, could we speak to that as to where we stand on that and
We could add that as board discussion items.
for future? Yeah.
Yep,
I was going to
absolutely.
bring up this too, but I'm glad that you spoke to that. But we could bring that up too in the spirit of that.
Yeah.
And to Mike's point, and I'll just weigh in. I kind of agree with Mike has to say. I mean, I was on the board for many years. The board was trying to make it a full 8th grade trip, and the board knew at that point that once it became a full 8th grade trip, it'd be very, very hard to find chaperones. In years past, when it was specific to earth science honors or regents, sometimes it was challenging to get 10 chaperones, and somewhere along the line, I mean, I left the board in 18. It then became an 8th grade trip, and now we're in a situation where we can't run it. So we may have to revisit that and say, look, are we going to lose it forever in this district, or do we want to make it specific to a specific curriculum or program? I know the physics club, classes used to go to Six Flags Great Adventure, and they would somehow gauge the G-force of a roller coaster as part of their curriculum. When they're learning about G-force. We may want to visit that as a future discussion as to, do we lose a trip for everybody, or do we now make it specific again? Okay, and possibly continue to do an 8th grade trip, where every child is able to go on that as well. And maybe that is a New York City trip. Maybe that is a Philadelphia trip. Something that's within 1 to 2 hours away. But it's a discussion we can certainly have. So, thank you for the update, Dr. Pelletieri.
Yeah, school's been going good. It's kind of just going along as usual. Fall sports are closing out. Our football team had a big win against Longwood last week. Yeah, that was very exciting for us. Volleyball closed out. Soccer closed out yesterday. Girls and boys soccer made playoffs, so congratulations to them. And yeah, football's rolling. So we got Riverhead this Friday, and
then playoffs, right?
Playoffs right after that, yeah.
Alyssa, updates?
I'm not sure about the whole sports thing, but
Wait, Alyssa, I ran into you at the concession stand at the
Yes,
football game, didn't
yep.
I?
That's I
So
only
you're
go to
there.
home games for the themes, yeah. But we have our Thanksgiving food drive we just started, so we have a lot of teachers and students bringing in food and money to donate to the families in need. But it's kind of the only big event going on at the school that I know of right now. So.
What can they bring? Where do they bring it? Is it canned goods, something like that?
There's a whole list. I think there's 24 items on it.
24 items?
Yeah. There's
Okay.
like canned vegetables, pasta.
Where do they bring it?
You could bring it to the main office, or you could bring it to the student government office, A316, or a lot of honor societies are doing it, and you bring it to like the advisor of the Honor Society.
Okay. Probably both schools are maybe doing that, so we'll take a look. Matthew.
We run it through student government.
Okay.
We have a couple students that are also helping us out that set up football games, set up at school events with their table,
Mhm.
and you can donate Venmo or give to Ken Goods.
Oh
And
my gosh,
we are
fantastic.
planning on in November. Seniors are gonna go out and deliver all the foods to wherever that may be at that time, and with permission from teachers and parents that they're allowed to go out with the buddy and deliver turkeys or whatever it may be for the Thanksgiving food drive.
That's fantastic. It speaks volumes to our Sachem community and family. Thank you, Matthew and Alyssa.
Okay, brings us to item G, approval of minutes. I need a motion to approve the minutes from October 12th. Ms. Esternia. All right, second by Ms. Volpe. Questions or concerns? All in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Visitors? Alton, no visitors tonight? We have business items. Item 3, consent agenda A and B. I need a motion, please. Okay, Ms. Slattery, second by Ms. Esternia. Questions or concerns? All in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Item 4, we have personnel consent agenda items A through M, which deals with our teaching staff. A motion, please. Mr. Reynolds, second. Ms. Picarillo. Questions, concerns? All in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Do we have anything tonight, Kristen, as far as recognition for that group? Okay. All right, we are on page 9. And we have personnel items. Item 5, consent agenda A through G. Any motion, please? Ms. Isernia, second. Ms. Picarillo. All right. Any questions or discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried.
Just a recognition to Mrs. Tracy Henry, one of our custodial worker ones, who's retiring as of the 8th of November. We want to wish her all the best in her retirement and thank her for years of service.
Item 6 brings us to administrators. We have one item, appointment of administrative mentors for the 2023 school year. Motion, please. And Mr. Reynolds, second by Mr. Pikowitz. Mr. Picarillo. Okay. Any discussion or questions? All in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. I'm going to separate you two. Item 7, we have consent agenda A through D, which is going to include contracts. A motion, please. Ms. Slattery, second by Ms. Isernia. Questions or discussions? All in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Item 8 brings us to budget transfers. We have one item. Item A, you need a motion. All right. Mr. Baumann, second. Okay. Ms. Pikowitz, questions or discussion? Okay. Mr. Vick, is there any way, could you just kind of, so the people that are out there watching, just explain what this transfer is for?
Sorry about
putting
that.
you on the spot.
No, that's okay. That's the budget transfer. We hired a new school business administrator who was a BOCES employee. So we're just moving the funds that were in our BOCES line item to the salary code in the business office.
Okay, and that was at no cost to our district.
Correct. Correct.
Thank you. All right, so I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Item 9 is action items, appointment of board committee members. Any motion, please? Mr. Reynolds, second by Ms. Volpe. Questions or discussions? All in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Item 10, field trips, okay, for the national competitions for both Sachem North and Sachem East varsity cheerleading. Any motion, please? Mr. Picarillo, second by Ms. Volpe. Questions or discussions? All in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Okay, item 11, Committee on Special Education, consent agenda A and B. I need a motion, please. And Ms. Slattery, second by Mr. Baumann. All right, questions or discussions? All right, all in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Item 12, monthly reports. I'll open up to board members regarding the board committees. Okay, Laura?
Well, I'll just speak quickly on the legislative committee. I just wanted to make sure before we set up our first meeting, number one, we're going to do the legislative forum and the resolutions, the security and the regions. Are those two other charges that you want our committee to take on to push, or was there another charge? I don't really remember if there was a specific
I'll throw in, I would throw in
Okay.
religious exemptions as one.
Yeah. So Rob, I think we've got to get together and talk through what do we want to charge them with. Those are certainly good ones to start, right? I think we all talked about
Right.
those. So absolutely.
And start planning the forum. So
And with the
before I
forum.
just called, I just wanted to not overstep or whatever. So we'll do the resolutions along with the forum. Okay.
And Laura, your first meeting will just be an introduction and get to know, everybody gets to know each other.
Well, yes.
And the format of what you're working on.
Right. And we'll appoint a chairperson, somebody to take the minutes. And we're going to do it by Zoom for the first meeting. And then we'll move on from there.
Laura, do we have a date for that yet?
No. So I
So-
just wanted to make sure that that was appropriate. And
Yep.
then I think it's me, you, Stephanie,
I think
and
I
Meredith,
think
the
Meredith
four
as
of
well.
us.
Yeah.
So we'll work on that.
Okay.
And then
I have a question. We were going to discuss some of the resolutions, right, as well, for legislative, or no?
right. That's what I just said.
Yeah, but other than those,
Well, I said the two definitely of the
the
Sachem
Sachem
ones.
ones, right?
And
But
then
maybe just right now, because when you're going to do the forum, like February?
yeah.
So maybe right now the focus of the legislative will just be the forum, because the packet for the NISBA resolutions doesn't come till what, April?
No,
April.
I think so. So two things, right? So the forum last year was March. So I think we've got to just coordinate with our elected officials to find
To
out when
get
they're
the
out of
date
session.
and
they're here.
whatever.
But we also then, because some of these things are not on the NISBA resolution, we were going to take it upon ourselves
To
lo-
do the
work with the
resolution.
elected officials to continue to drive that message.
Right.
So I think we've got to get together with the legislative committee, get their feedback, right? And then
Right.
give them the charge. This is what we want to do.
Right.
Right.
Well, that's tomorrow, so we're going to wait.
Yeah. So
Unless you want to do it tonight, but I don't
no.
think so. Yeah.
Right. So I just wanted to make sure I understood the directives before I set the meeting date.
perfect.
So I'll send out the email. Allison, you have everybody's email, and then we'll coordinate the date and move on that. And then Sabrina, if you want to take over for curriculum.
Sure. Dr. Pelletieri spoke to it too. So Laura and I attended curriculum council right before this with Mrs. Hines. It was great to see so many teachers, administrators, students, parents, wonderful backgrounds of everybody that's there. Dr. Pelletieri did speak to it. I think one of the greatest things that we saw was these kids who are almost at the end of their educational career wanting to be there to see the future of Sachem. So it just tells you how invested our students are in this community, that they want to, even at the end, instead of saying, oh, peace out, I'm done, that they want to see the changes and give their input of what maybe experiences they would have liked to have to be able to pass it on to future generations. So I thought that was absolutely wonderful to see. So really just all got to know each other, everybody's backgrounds, their why they were there. And it was definitely, it was just a great experience. Seeing
Very
everybody. So,
positive.
a very positive beginning. Everybody there just wants to see our programs grow and really giving our kids the best future. So it was really a great first meeting.
Any other updates, Minnie?
No, so tonight we approved, looks like 4 community members for the Budget Advisory Committee. So we should probably talk about how do we want to kick that off? What do we want to do? I know the past couple of years, we've literally taken the time, gone line through the budget. I think we want to continue that. But one of the things I think we talked about is perhaps we have a workshop to kick this off, just to educate these folks as to, what makes up the budget. I think there's some misconceptions in the community with the budget. So I think maybe we level set, give them a presentation, all the things that go into the budget, the tax cap, all of that, and then kind of talk about, is there other things that we want them to focus on? So I'll just throw that out and perhaps something.
Yeah,
we can talk
we've
through.
always started the budget advisory meetings that way, the committee meetings.
Yep.
First meeting was just an overview of the budget, and we always had somebody from district office, that usually was Ron, that would kind of give an overview of all of the different codes and functions and how we're able to purchase things and so on and so forth. And it opens up a lot of eyes.
Mhm.
All of a sudden people go, wait a minute, those are all fixed costs.
Yeah.
So I think it's a great way to start it, Minnie.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to reach out to the others.
Yeah,
to-
so that
to
was the other
fill
thing
it?
I was going to add. There were 4 names that were made available to the Board of Education. We have 4 spots available left on that Budget Advisory Committee. Okay, and there were 4 names that was second or third and fourth choice that we have to think about. Do we want to fill them? And again, if we want to fill those spots, we want to give Allison the okay to reach out to those members those community members to find out if they're still interested and they want to serve in that committee. Is everybody okay with that? Yes. All right. So Allison, you'll reach out to those 4, and then by the next agenda, we'll be able to approve them as well. Did that answer your question? Okay. All right. Any other?
I just have a question. With the policy committee, do we don't have any policies that need updating for this?
Yeah, that's for me. And I actually have shot an email out to Marianne Sadowski, who walks us through that. And there are a couple of things coming up, so we're going to have to, we'll schedule a date and put that together.
Allison, do you have a list of policies that need to be updated? Because usually you don't want to put that at the board, that these are ones that we want to address immediately. Do you have that list? All right, so maybe you could send it out to the board so that we understand what's on the agenda next as far as what needs to be reviewed.
If you don't mind, we'll work together.
Mhm.
Trying to get Marianne nailed
Yeah.
down to do that. She's always very helpful with us, so we'll make sure.
Other updates on committees? No. We had a district-wide safety committee that went really well. We kind of reviewed some of the things that were implemented from the alert system, emergency alert system, to how the ID badge is going, and the feedback from students. It was a very productive meeting, and I think we're really on the right path, and really making Sachem a safer place. We're still waiting for our safety audit to be finalized, and once that's finalized, that the findings that we'll make as public as possible without making them too public.
I met a young man in Somerset today who asked if I were the badge police, and I said I'm not. He said, "But you're the superintendent, right?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "You are the badge police." So someone's calling me the badge police, I think, around here. And he was checking everyone's. This young man is just keen on safety and security, and he's checking everyone's ID. And it's just interesting to see. Even the dogs tonight each had an ID on their leash. So people are taking it seriously. And yeah, they do have their own Instagram page, but the fact that they're walking around with IDs, I think, speaks volumes to the fact that we want to make sure we have a safe and secure environment, and that we're taking it seriously. And people that come on our grounds should be wearing their ID, staff, students, and the like, visitors as well, certainly.
Okay. Any other comments, committees? Okay. Brings us to public comment. Do we have any visitors? No. Board discussion items, right? At least future. Hold on, it's not.
No, just current.
Yes.
I just want
Do
to
we
go.
have any current discussion items there's nothing going on? Okay, good.
I just want to do the update on the NISBA.
Okay.
So I did send an email to the board, but I know we've talked about it in public, so just to put that out there. And going along with Laura going to Syracuse and Stephanie this next couple of days, and then the legislative committee. So I attended the delegate forum for the resolutions for NISBA. It was a long 6 hours. Laura, I think, joined in halfway to watch. It was an experience, to say the least. It was great to hear debates on various topics, especially ones that we here in Sachem are very passionate about. Of the first 32 that were recommended from NISBA's resolution committee, there were only two that failed. And one of them was the one that we wrote along with Sable with our safety, Safe Schools one. It was shocking to hear people speaking against it. I know that our counterpart at Sayville, he spoke up, spoke about it, and then someone else raised their hand and spoke against it, and then another person, and finally I raised my hand. The way it works is you get 10 minutes to debate a resolution. Each person gets 2 minutes. So at the end of the 10 minutes, you had a vote to extend the debate, and the delegates voted to not extend the debate. So we never got to speak further against basically explaining more about what the resolution is. A lot of questions as to if it's going to become another unfunded mandate from the state if it gets mandated. A couple of questions were, why do security guards need to know school law? That's the job of superintendents, etc. So there was a lot of comments that, again, myself or I forget his name, I'm sorry. Yes, from Sayville, that we didn't get a chance to speak up about because the time ran out and nobody wanted to extend it and have the discussion further, which I understand because it was a super long meeting, and it took a long time for us because it was all virtual. So it was definitely something that I think, Laura and Stephanie, I know that there's a lot of upstate There were a few school districts from Long Island. I know like Lucas Valley, even Bayshore, they did speak out against it, but I think there just wasn't clarification on what we want to see from this. And I know we received emails from former board member Jim Kiernan about it, that we're just going to continue to advocate for this and for school districts to understand what we want to come of it. That one, where was it? It was very close too. It was 54% voted no and 46% were yes. So we were very close to that being passing. So I think with some advocacy upstate and Jim and the rest of us kind of just pushing it forward, I think we would see a little bit more people jumping onto it. As far as the ones that we put on that were not recommended by the resolutions committee, every single one that was not recommended by the resolution committee failed. But most of them failed actually miserably, like 20% said yes. The only one that came close was the one that we wrote on the regents in terms of our special education students. Unfortunately, it was the second to last one at like 9:45 at night when we were there from 4 o'clock. People stopped voting. People stayed on because you had to keep a quorum of 200. But I think at that point, only like 100, half the people were voting at that point. People walked away to keep the quorum, but they didn't want to participate anymore once we hit these ones that were not recommended. But even with that, we still had 47% say yes. We only needed 3 or 4% more of the votes. And I think if more people stayed and listened, that we would have gotten that. There were a lot of people who spoke up just about the regents in general, wanting to, and I know we have the blue ribbon committee or that's being put in to discuss the regions, but a lot of people, spoke up from Long Island about Laura speaking at the resolutions dinner and everything that she had to say, and it changed a lot of people's minds. So again, I think that would have passed. It's the only one that came close. All the other ones were like 20%, 30%. That was the only one that came close. So again, I know that Laura and Stephanie are going to advocate for that up when they go to Syracuse. And I think it's something that our legislative committee, along with our elected officials, should continue. But I just wanted to give the update so the community knows that we are advocating, we are fighting for these things. We're fighting for our students. We want to see change, at the higher levels, and this is one of the ways to do it.
And I just wanted to add, so I didn't even realize you could log in. So I did, Sabrina texted me and I logged in, and again, I just think there was a very big disconnect between upstate and downstate when you talk about different things. And so this being in Syracuse, when I actually went through the whole list of attendees, literally so many school districts from upstate are going. We'll have to leave at 5 in the morning because the first meeting starts at 12. And when we were looking at traffic and whatever for us to get there in the morning, I think it wasn't really thought out. Like, you have to be in a meeting at 12, but you're leaving from Long Island, at what time. But there's enough meetings throughout the day at the same times that we went through and we split up. And then there's enough networking in between that we can isolate boards that were on there by listening to people who didn't understand maybe something or whatever. I think it's going to be a good way to lobby for our safety and security, along with offering local diplomas again, which once you explain it to people and they understand, it's not saying that we don't want our kids to try. And if you can get a Regents diploma, that's great. But to not give a diploma to students that don't pass 5 Regents is not really fair to those students. And it is going to limit their job opportunities and other opportunities when they graduate. I think once people hear the explanation, Sabrina did an excellent job representing. Everybody that spoke after her agreed with her. There was not one person that got on that was negative. So I just think it's about our role now as board trustees to advocate on what's best for our students, whatever way we can. And I think this will be a good opportunity to meet enough districts that we can really make, hopefully, a difference. And thank you, Sabrina, because I was like in my bed in my pajamas listening to it, but to have a meeting go on Zoom for over 6 hours discussing resolutions, like there really has to be a better way. But I appreciate you being there representing Sachem. You did a great job.
I wish they had a better form because there were discussions going into the religious exemption. People wanted to talk, even the parental rights one that we often debate and comes up here at these meetings. People wanted to have honest conversations about it. But when you're limited to 10 minutes and you're sitting in a 6-hour meeting going through 43 resolutions, I understand why people were voting the time down. But I think, again, up at Syracuse, the advocacy piece with connecting to these school districts, I think, you could have some good conversations. So I look forward to hearing.
Alex?
Speaking about this, and I have my reservations about NISBA and this entire process of resolutions, because I don't really even know what happens after it gets approved. I think they're just going to put a packet together and put it on somebody's elected official's desk. So, along those lines, I know that it hasn't been great for us in the past, but I have been speaking with Assemblyman Smith and Assemblyman Gandolfo, Senator Wyke. I'd love to write a letter to those three and then just connect our governor to it. I know that a lot of people in the community have been anxious about the possibility of mandating a COVID vaccine as part of the list of shots that kids need to take before entering school. So I just think that since we approved passing that resolution forward for medical freedom, I think that this is along those lines, but this is just another step. And we have such great access, to Assemblyman Smith whenever we want them. And, Senator Wyke would come whenever we wanted her to. So, they go up there and they can get on the floor and debate it. And it's going to be a debate. And unfortunately, it's not going to be a debate until after the election because nobody wants their feet held to the fire before the election. So I think the sooner the better. It doesn't have to be tonight, but maybe we could start the preliminary letter, how it's going to be constructed, and then we can maybe discuss it and approve it in a future meeting sooner than later.
We could do that, Alex.
Thank you.
Stephanie?
One of the things that I think that could be a charge of the legislative committee so that we could have it with our forum as well, because that's a great idea to have our electeds come speak about that. One of the things that I think happened with the resolutions is that someone just mentioned unfunded mandates, and then immediately it goes into a spiral. That's something that Laura and I have been discussing that we're going to try to explain to everyone upstate and our own community. Like I think you said Middle Country had questions, or some other local school districts. None of that was intended to be unfunded mandates, correct? So, yeah.
It's supposed to be in lieu of what they already are doing.
Right.
So it's not looking to be something.
And there's options to even provide it free through the state as
Yes.
well through, the New York
So
State.
there was just some wording of it that people weren't understanding, and there needed to be clarification.
Yeah,
and unfortunately,
So I hope that
time
we
ran out.
have that platform this weekend to take care of that.
One thing I want to add, and I want to thank Sabrina for actually taking that time. I owe her big time. I did have a conflict, and she reminded me several times that I owe her at least 6 hours of my life.
Rob had a dentist appointment.
But what was disheartening is that prior to the resolutions being written, we were confronted by a group, a consortium of local school boards from Nassau County that sent out resolutions that they kind of pressured us, that they wanted us to support them. Okay, and while we didn't support all of them, we reworded some of them so that they were specific to our district, but they were on the same lines. We didn't debate any of the resolutions that they had put forth on the floor of that NISBA resolution committee. And the one thing that was really disheartening is that one of the groups that was really active, one of the school boards that was very active in that group that really pressured us to support those 6 resolutions, spoke against our security resolution on the floor. And that whole concept is, well, we're more powerful when we're bigger and we're stronger. If we're going to support each other, then we should support each other. You could silently not support a resolution, but when you come out to the floor, and you're vocal about not doing it for X, Y, and Z, it hurts us. You can't form a relationship with a school boards association, if you're not going to support each other. And like I said, especially not come out. That's 3 minutes that we could have had to explain what that security guard training was that was taken away by what that organization, that group, that school board from Nassau County, and then not to have the 10 minutes extended, okay, so we could explain our own resolution was disheartening, absolutely disheartening. I just wanted to put that out there because we didn't speak out against any of the resolutions that they presented to us at all. You know, we may not have supported them in its entirety. We did reword a lot of them, but it was disheartening to hear that another Long Island district really kind of spoke out that was part of that consortium. So I'll leave it at that. But Alex, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, just quickly again, and I don't know how NISBA ran this meeting, and I appreciate Sabrina sitting in there. You know, the sponsors of the bill of the resolution should have been the ones that spoke first to explain it to everybody. So obviously NISBA is lost in their own little bag of nonsense. But you know, I don't know if people are nervous that if they pass it, that it automatically becomes law. That, you know, if the NISBA passes it, that means it's got to be something that automatically becomes something, which is not it either. So I just think that there's just so much confusion, and you know, and to that school district's, you know, maybe we should have called everybody individually, but we should have been the one to speak to explain it. You know, when we have Sabrina or Laura or whoever is going to speak about it, that would have helped. So that's why I think, you know, writing letters, having our legislative forum, having our local elected officials, you know, they're all together. I mean, they're all together. So if they hear that, you know, Sachem wants to do something, it comes pretty powerful from them. It's just a matter of them bringing it up. And I think that that's what we have.
And I think that's always been part of our plan B, right?
Yeah.
Was to try and get NISBA to put it through first, but work along with the local officials to actually continue to, you know, that process, you know, in that route.
And I've said this in the past, and I may be the minority. I don't see the benefit of the relationship with NISBA if this is the way it's. They're not even going to allow us to speak. Again, we're the second largest school district in the state, and we sponsored this resolution. We should have spoke.
Yeah.
And I'm not blaming Sabrina or Laura or anybody.
No, I think there was just
whoever. It shouldn't be that chaotic of a meeting. I think. I mean, you know.
Right. I think just I don't know, because when they went to the 10 minutes, they said they had several a lot of people. I don't know if it was people like me, like, hey, let me clarify. I want to talk. But we hit the 10 minutes, they couldn't.
Yeah.
And then everybody voted. So they might have jumped to Savo or to me to clarify, but it got dropped.
Yeah,
and they
and
made
I
it very
appreciate
clear
what you
that
did.
this
I don't wanna
isn't. No,
throw
I
you
totally
under.
get it. I just want they made it clear this isn't legislation. If you vote yes to this is not getting instituted in New York State. These are just the things that the school boards are saying to them. Help us advocate for these things, right? You know, it is where we're better in numbers when it's coming from something like that. They do have direct access to more, you know, the full state of legislators and assemblymen, et cetera.
Right.
So the level of debate for some people was like, this thing is going to get put in place tomorrow. And they were trying to make that clear. And you could see some people, I mean, Laura watched it. There were some people who were getting very passionate about it, where it's like, okay, then just vote no. You know, let's move on. Let's
So
just
Rob,
vote no.
you know, just for the record, this board voted on our own resolution very similar to that one, right? So we voted on that. And I think through the legislative committee, our job is to get with Assembly Smith, our elected officials, and help drive this. Because I think then, again, we want to be leaders. This is the way to lead, right? If they didn't want to come on board, we're going to go ahead and do it anyway, right?
Yep,
So-
absolutely.
And also what I think with NISBA, so like you said, there's power in numbers. So like the coalition that wants to form their own separate group, still part of NISBA, but a segregated group. If you have NISBA that represents all boards of education across all of New York State, we don't want regents only for our kids. We want to offer other alternatives. And they lobby along with all of us. And now you have all boards sending letters, not just Sachem, not just Brentwood, not just Locust Valley. If NISBA adopts this resolution and then we lobby all these boards, so it's not just one or two or three, it is the entire state of school board associations. That's where I think we can make a difference. That's where I think becoming involved. And like the workshops that they give, one of them is advocacy through NISBA. That's the one I signed up for. How do we use NISBA to advocate for what we want for our Sachem teachers, students, community? What can we do? What can we use them for to advocate here? How can I make the best of my role as a board trustee? What can I do and what can I use as this state organization for? So that's what I think hopefully we can bring back from the convention.
One of the things we should do at the convention is give feedback on this meeting. Do you think it was because it was set up as a Zoom?
We had, like, I had to fill out a whole survey about it, and I definitely gave my opinion. I mean, even one guy took his like 30 seconds and said it takes way too long for you to get someone up to the panel to speak, because it was in a forum, so you had to give people permission to be part of the panel. That
Right.
took a few seconds by they got their camera on, mic on, so there was this
Previously, it was
added.
in person.
Yes.
Did that run better? I don't know if any. Oh, okay.
They
All
said, I
right.
mean, it took, they said, I've never been, they said it took just as long as you had your yes, no, and your yes mic and your no mic. And then if it got really close, then they had to really poll every single person to
We
make
can
sure.
give that feedback because it's a disservice to, the community that the security one specifically didn't get the time it deserved. So
Right.
we can give that feedback when we go up there.
Right.
I mean,
If it
I
matters.
guess the good news is that we were within 3 and 4 points on both of them. So it was close, and it's something that we should consider putting up again next year, but also working, like Vinny said, with our local legislators and elected officials to drive it forward. So, all right. Anything else on that one? Okay, future discussion items. Item C. Yep. So
I guess what happens at the convention, does that come up as a discussion item for the future? Do we have to put that on the
yeah, sure. An
agenda?
update that would be
Okay.
Absolutely. Yep. Overview of the convention. Any materials that you guys come across? If you guys can grab some that you can share with.
Right. So last time what I did was I gave everything to Allison and then she emailed everything that we got to everybody on the board.
All right. Any other future discussion items this time? Okay. Our next meeting is scheduled for November 9th. Okay. Here in the Board of Education room at 7 p.m. At this particular time, I need a motion to go into exec session to discuss disciplinary action of a staff member made known to the board, as well as the sale of real property. All right. Stephanie, Vincent Randall, second. Okay. All in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you.